Welcome to Web3 and Me presented by FLOLiO. I am your host, Jeremy Weber, and I am joined today by my co-host, the man in the Netherlands with the greatest hair that I've ever seen, Dan Vondelok. Dan, how we doing today?
Hello, hello. Yeah, I'm doing good. I've been doing good for the past three attempts we've had recording this. But hey, I'm still doing fantastic. How about yourself?
Doing good, man. Sometimes there's Wi-Fi issues. Sometimes I can't get my camera working properly. Being the boomer of the duo, that's something that comes with the territory, man. So happy to
Right?
have you back after being out Friday. Good to see that you survived those crazy storms in the
Yeah, definitely.
Netherlands. And we're on the verge of World War III. Markets are collapsing, but you know what? We're still vibing here
Oh
over
yeah.
on Web3 and Me. We're still, taking a look at all these different cats and apes and there's llamas apparently. Dan, llamas have
Oh
entered the
yeah. There's
equation. I
llamas
can't
now as
wait to.
well.
I don't know anything about this, but I can't wait to hear more about it. So let's jump into it. We're gonna do a kind of combined recap of last week and look ahead because there's a lot of NFT projects minting this week. Some better than others. Some hyped up beyond reason.
Yeah.
So as we get jumping into it today, nothing we say is financial advice. Okay, as always, we want to give you as much solid information as we can, and you make your decisions from there. If you find what we're talking about beneficial, hit that like button, that little thumbs up right below the video here. Subscribe to our channel. Send it out to some family and friends. If you don't like it, send it out to some work colleagues that you don't like. We'll take the views
Exactly.
any way we can get them. So let's jump into it, Dan. It's been a shaky week in the
Yeah.
NFT market, with the exception of real estate. We're going to talk Metaverse Real Estate now. So it's only a matter of time until some real estate agents in their maroon blazers come in and start pitching us on Metaverse Real Estate. The big winner has been NFT lands. We've briefly touched, or
Yeah.
NFT worlds. Sorry, NFT
Worlds. Yeah.
worlds. We briefly touched on them before, but the floor has skyrocketed to over 16 ETH now. It touched 18 yesterday, came back a little bit. Do you own any metaverse real estate, Dan?
Well, I wouldn't call it real estate. No, I've got some wolf game land, but that's about it. Like
Okay.
I've seen NFT worlds and uh, Web3 land,
World Wide Web
but
land.
exactly, there you go, there you go.
Yeah.
But I never really pulled the trigger on those just because I've been like with my head somewhere else in terms of like
hmm
my idea. Um, yeah, but that's like, do you know anything about the project in general, like in for NFT worlds?
So NFT Worlds is a collection of 10 individual, as it sounds like, worlds. And so with each of them, you can build it out as you want, and they're
Mm-hmm.
all play to earn. So a lot of projects are buying their own worlds and creating play to earn games on them. I know there's one
Interesting.
project, I think, called like Baby Dinos, and they're building a racing game on their NFT
Wow.
world. And
Okay.
from my understanding, each world is the size of the entire sandbox game. They're huge, and they have different properties to them. Some have a lot of water, some are completely land, and you can kind of build around these things and create the games that you want with them. And the native token is WRLD,
Mm-hmm.
so world token, and that will be used. People will be able to stake their worlds. They'll earn tokens for staking. That'll be the currency on there. That's what you'll earn when you play these games. So it's a really ambitious and interesting project. I don't own any land. I did pick up some of the tokens this last weekend. And just like everything else, it's down right now. So that was good timing on my part. But it's uh it's really interesting. This is like the big speculative thing right now in an already speculative market is the real estate and what's going to be. You got Decentraland, you got Sandbox, now you have NFT worlds, and you have World Wide Web land. So I'm interested to see where this goes. I'd like to dig a little bit deeper into it, and we can do an episode breaking down the different metaverse real estate projects and kind of give the people a little bit better understanding. So that has been what's up this week in the NFT market. And we don't have
That's
enough
about it.
time to list every project that is in the red because that's almost everything else. There are a few new ones that have been up lately that have been getting pumped by influencers, and I'm not a huge fan of that, so we're not really going to address those. You can search Twitter, find the popular people on there, and they'll be pumping those projects on their own. So let's get into some of the other things that have been happening in the world of NFTs. We're going to start with Cool Cats because that has been there's been a lot of drama surrounding that. They had their Cool Pets launch. That has gone about as poorly as you could imagine. They've launched Cooltopia, which was the play to earn game with their milk token, and there has been no playing and no earning. It has
Yeah.
been very, you know, I'm not going to say poorly done because they're trying something really ambitious, and with that comes a lot of growing pains. So I don't want this to come off as me like putting down the Cool Cats team.
Hmm.
The biggest issue though has been the poor communication.
Yeah.
Like I think if you were expecting it to run 100% smoothly, then your expectations were too high. However, I don't think it's unreasonable to expect that the team could communicate a little bit better. So, Dan, have you been keeping up with this? The price of Cool Cats has gone down to 9 ETH from, as high as 15. The
Hmm.
Cool Pets are down under 2 ETH now. So, what do you think about all this? What have you, picked up on?
Yeah. So yeah, I've been following it quite closely for the last few weeks, and they delayed it maybe 7 or 8 times already. So naturally, that's pretty frustrating to people like holding it, and might get them to sell, which is definitely what we've seen so far. I believe most of their delays were stuff that was out of their hands, stuff related to servers or somehow some countries in the world that weren't able to access their websites or something because of AWS, like Amazon Web Services or
Mhm.
whatever you call it. Um, and now I believe they got like DDoS or something, like so their whole website got attacked, and uh, so their website was attacked, but also their play to earn endpoint or something. I'm not sure how you call it, but basically people were DDoSing their servers, and people couldn't really play, so they just delayed it again, and like you said, no playing, no earning, and yeah, that's where we are right now. Team is trying to communicate more about the issues and like what's happening behind the scenes, and I was looking to maybe pick one up. It was 8.5 earlier, and I was like if I sell this, I sell that. If I sell this, and I have two, and then I was like, damn it, yeah, the 8.5 already got bought, so I was like, well, maybe I'll just sit this one out, and maybe it comes down again, maybe around 8, and then I'll definitely buy it because the
Yeah.
team
So,
is. Sorry, go on.
no, so I was going to say this presents two learning opportunities for you and me as well as everyone else, which is number one, if people are overreacting, trying to take a more reasonable view on it can be really
Hmm.
beneficial because you can spot opportunities where other people are freaking out. So I saw people off the bat selling for a loss of like
Yeah.
multiple ETH, and like we said, this was a very ambitious project. There were going to be growing pains. Did they rush it out? I think so. I think trying to put all of this out, like the companion drop and the token
Yeah.
and the game all at once, that was rushed. However, it's also presenting a buying opportunity. The second lesson learned is what you just discussed and what I struggle with myself as well, which is keeping some fresh powder on the side. Having taking profits at times so that when opportunities present itself, you aren't having to scramble to sell because obviously you would rather have 9 ETH sitting there than have to sell other projects while the
Yeah.
floor is going down on them, right? And I'm the exact same way. So this is a really good opportunity for people to realize, like, let's keep a little bit of money set aside for opportunities like this because they will present themselves. Nothing goes up forever. Nothing goes down forever. Well, at some point, maybe it will, but
Yeah.
nonetheless, good learning opportunity here. I think the Cool Cats team, I'm looking to see if it falls a little bit further because I don't have 9 ETH sitting around right now, but I got a little bit less than that I could deploy into it. So I still think that they're going to figure it out. I think they have a smart enough team
Yeah.
behind them and that they'll make it work in the long run.
Yeah, they're definitely one of the more dedicated and professional teams out there. And I believe they mentioned something like how their cool pet system is on like 10 plus different contracts because that's how complicated it is. Um, so it's absolute insane work from their team, and hopefully everything can be resolved soon. And I think my prediction, like of course no financial advice, but what I personally think is that in like a month from now or 2 months from now, I don't think we'll even remember what happened here, and then we'll be in like cool pet land and like playing and earning, and at that point, like if Russia hasn't completely obliterated Ukraine, then maybe we still have a functioning market, and then I think by then I might already have bought a cool cat for cheap, and then we'll see.
Well, I think once World War III kicks off, milk token is probably going to be the reserve currency for the
Oh yeah,
world. So you're probably
to
in
the
a good
moon.
place, Dan. Anywho,
Yeah.
moving on past that one, we don't need to get political here. More drama from this weekend was the crypto chicks art debacle, is how I'll refer to it. So for those who are unfamiliar, crypto chicks claim to be the first female PFP project. They since have revised their description a little bit because it was brought to the attention of the NFT community on Twitter that Polly, the creator of Crypto Chicks, had used art which she had taken from Instagram back in a post from 2018. And this was the art that inspired the initial one of one collection that Crypto Chicks put out, as well as the eventual larger PFP collection. Now, an interesting aside from that is the Instagram creator also took that art from some stock photos.
Wow.
So this whole thing has been an absolute train wreck.
Love
Now,
it.
the Crypto Chicks team, they're not, aborting the project. They're not punting it away. The creator, Polly, has left the team, and they are trying to partner with, female artists in the NFT space to move the project forward. I don't know what entirely that consists of. If you are involved in Crypto Chicks, or if you're interested in them, they are hosting a Twitter Spaces tonight to discuss how they're going to move things forward. I hope that they have some concrete plans laid out, but are also willing to listen to the community, because this was a really hot project a few weeks ago. The floor rose pretty rapidly on them, and it has since fallen off a cliff, which is understandable for a project that has been shown to have stolen their art. So I want to see them figure this out. I think the team behind it was not malicious, at least not, the current team. The artist, you could say, was. But, hopefully they figure it out. I have no investment in Crypto Chicks. I don't own any. I don't plan on buying any. But
Yeah,
I
me
don't
neither.
want to see the people who invested in the project lose all their money. So any other thoughts on Crypto Chicks, Dan?
None other than, was that the one with the three eyes for the one of one, or was that something else?
Yes. Yeah.
All right,
Like
gotcha,
the
gotcha.
three
So then
eyes with
I at
like
least know
devil
what you're
horns.
talking about. Yeah,
Yeah.
noted.
Yes. And so another similar story along those lines was the weather report drama.
Okay,
So
that's something.
yeah, Dan, do you want to talk about that a little bit? We can dive into
Um,
weather report and dented fields.
I would prefer if you talk about it a little
Okay.
bit more, but all I want to say is that it's such a interesting back and forth of like, oh well, I'm the artist, and I made this, and then their team is like, well, we gave you creative direction, and then it's just there's a lot of funny like back and well, not funny, but like a lot of interesting back and forth between those two, and yeah, please tell us more about their project.
Okay. So weather report, which is minting later this week, has they were working with an artist named Denton, and you can find him on Twitter at Denton My Head. He came forward last week claiming that the weather report team was using artwork that he created solely on his own. He asked to receive a bigger cut of it because he initially was only going to be getting 5% of sales and royalties, while the other founders were splitting 50% of it. And so he put out a very detailed document showing, when he had created it, interactions between him and the weather report team. He has since split off. He was removed from the project back in the middle of January, and he is putting out his own project called Dented Fields. Now, to the other side of it, Weather Report put out their own document showing that back in July of 2021, they had created the Weather Report brand. In December of 21, they had started working on the art for it. They had brought Denton in to help them with it, and they claim, guided him along the process. Now, I'm not going to take one side of this or the other. I just want to present what they, each side has brought to the table. And we have the links to each of the reports. If you're interested in reading them, we'll include those in the show description if you haven't seen them on Twitter. But it's an unfortunate situation that I think we're going to see more and more of in the future.
Mm-hmm.
That has been one of the biggest criticisms of NFTs is it's just so easy to steal people's art.
Yeah.
And so I think the more that this gets brought to the forefront now, the less likely people are to try it, I hope. So I have no intention of minting or being involved in either one of these projects because it just seems like such a fluid, sticky situation. I know that's kind of an
Yeah.
oxymoron there, but it feels
Yeah.
like it could go either way with a DMCA or a lawsuit. And
Yeah.
I would just rather not put my money into something like that. So
Yeah.
the art I think is cool. You know, the Weather Report brand, what they were trying to build seems cool, but I don't really have faith in, either one of them that it's going to not have issues, with, legalities moving forward.
Yeah.
So, like I said, we'll include the reports from each of them in the show description so you can check it out yourselves, but they're pretty in depth and it really, I don't know. Have you looked through either one of these, Dan?
I haven't looked through the articles or like the information yet, but one thing, like the key takeaway for me to all this is that people need to work more on like with like contracts and stuff whenever they're hiring like an artist or whenever you're being hired as an artist, because NFTs kind of they don't really use contracts too much these days because it's more like it's a pretty tight knit community and people are like, yeah, I'll take your word for it, yeah, I'll take 10% or whatever. But people really need to like write this stuff down on a contract and like make it legally binding, so you don't get like destroyed after the fact. So do your due diligence, I think.
Yeah, I would agree. And it just goes to show how immature the NFT space
Hmm.
still is.
Yeah.
There's gonna be these are part of the growing pains, and the sooner people can figure that out, the better. I'm in a Top Shot group where we collect, we have a joint Top Shot portfolio, and from the jump, like one of the guys had a contract written up that like everyone
Yeah.
owns the same percentage. Here's how it's gonna work, and it has kept issues from arising. And I know people want to act like Web3 and NFTs are like this whole decentralized thing, and we don't need centralized agreements and blah blah blah. But this just goes to show that that's not the case. You can. It's a nice thought that everyone's going to interact well together, and we're not going to need to come to
Yeah.
that point. But it's just not true. There's too much money on the line right now to just leave it up to handshake agreements, and then when your evidence is just like screenshots of text messages and all this stuff, just get an agreement in place, have it
Yeah.
binding, have it to where, because right now both these projects, like I said, I'm not super confident in either one. I'm sure that they'll sell out, but there's going to be a lot of problems with it along the way. So,
Yeah.
like I said, Weather Report is minting on the 24th for 0.15 ETH. Dented Feels, they begin minting on their pre-sale list, their feels list, if you will, today, and then public minting starts tomorrow for 0.11.
So that's the day
So,
before weather report, right?
yeah, yeah.
So that's
So
also interesting.
very interesting to see how this plays out. The sentiment I've been seeing on Twitter is that more people are on the side of Dented Feels.
Yeah.
And it may have been just because he was the first one to come out with it, and Weather Report then had to respond. It could be one of those
Maybe.
things where like whoever was first out with their proof, if you will, was going to be the one that got more sympathy or more public support. But that's the vibe I've gotten, is that Weather Report's going to have a harder time than Dented Feels were. So that transitions us into the week ahead, because there are a shit ton of projects minting this week. And I don't know about you, but I am not on the allow list for any of them. And some of them are going to be crazy expensive. And I will be probably avoiding them until the price dips a little bit. So we mentioned the llamas, Dan. I want to hear about the llamas.
I wish I could tell you everything about the project. Unfortunately, I am not too well versed with them. All I know is that they've been working and building for quite some time, and allegedly, according to themselves, they've already delivered on like 70% of their roadmap, and they have this boost system in place, and they're essentially just like a I don't know, like a sort of like a mint pass plus utility on the side, and they could mint today, and I think the floor for those are already zero point 0.9 or
Okay.
something. So it's already. I think it was a fairly cheap mint as well, maybe like zero point 0.1. No, actually, it was free. It was free. It's free for boost holders. So that's just a free point 0.9 or something that they're able to cash in if they would like to.
Huh.
And other than that, all I know is they have like a token, and it should be a play to earn, or at least staking at the very minimum.
So it's
And
called
that's
the token is called Spit because llama spit.
yeah,
On
yeah.
OpenSea, there's only 883 of them available, and the current floor is 1.27.
Wow. Well, there you go. Yeah.
And
So the
they haven't revealed yet, and
yeah,
so I'll be interested to see how that plays out.
yeah. So the whitelist mint is tomorrow, or the allow list, or however you want to call it these days.
Okay. So also tomorrow is Invisible Friends. This
Yeah.
is going to be a really big one. Uh, this is part of a whole collective of other characters. There were the
Yeah.
Slim Hoods, there were the Mood Rollers, and now there are the Invisible Friends. And despite, I believe it was the Random Characters Collective is what
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
a part of. Now they're not the first piece of it, but they are the most highly anticipated. The supply is only going to be 5,000 of them. They are minting for 0.25 ETH, and the hype around this, it may be higher than Mechaverse was. You know, Mechaverse
It
was an
is. It's
incredibly high hyped
yeah.
release. You know, Invisible Friends already has almost 500,000 Twitter followers. Their Discord is nuts. They shut down their Discord already because they don't want any hacks or scams going on.
Mm.
They're also going to have a one of one auction where you'll be able to get, I believe, 5 Invisible
Yeah.
Friends come with the winning bidder on the auction as well.
Yeah. So I believe it was teased by OpenSea themselves through Twitter, and I believe it was like a golden one out of one in a separate collection. And call me if I'm wrong, but it might have something to do with charity as well.
Okay.
But yeah, I think so. From what I can see and from what I've done, like I've done my research a little bit on them, and it seems like genuine hype. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of people in there that are just like there to flip it. Obviously, like
Mm-hmm.
there always will be people, but this seems way more genuine than Mechaverse, than I don't know, any other like hyped up project. So I think
Be
we're going to
careful,
see
Dan.
some.
You're going to get people coming after you. People are going to come after you,
Oh
man.
no, yeah, I know. Of course, no financial advice, no financial advice. Um, but I've had a bet with my friend who has a allow list spot on Invisible Friends, and I think we're going to see like a 250 or 300 ETH bid on the one out of one, and I think
Oh
we'll
well.
see like a 20 ETH right out the gate pre-reveal Invisible Friends.
You think it's going to be
Um,
20?
yeah, because we've seen 10 ETH Hate Beast, right? No, not Hate Beast. No, yeah, no,
Mechaverse
yeah,
hit.
okay.
I
No, they
think
were Hate
Hate
Beast,
hit
yeah.
about 8.5, and I think at their top Mechaverse was around 9 or 10. So 20.
Yeah,
That's a big. Do you
I
know
think
if
so. I think so.
are all 5,000? Minus what they've like held back for promotional stuff, yada yada. Are they all allow list spots? Are there any available to public mint?
No, they're all allow list, all private mint, no public sale.
See, this is what's kind of frustrating about a lot of this stuff. Like, it is really cool, and
Yeah,
it seemed like to get an allow list spot, you had to jump through a ton of hoops,
yeah,
a
yeah, yeah,
ton. Which if you're willing to do it, that's great. It's funny though because we've talked about it before. Like, people put ads out on like Fiverr and other websites to like pay others to be active in Discords to get them allow list spots for projects. So
yeah.
I
I
don't know.
think
I think 20 is a bit high personally. I think it
it
wouldn't
is. It
surprise
is
me if
very
we
high.
saw like 10 to 12. Do you know, have they announced when the reveal is going to take place?
I don't recall at least. The one thing I did want to add on their whitelisting is they had a pretty interesting way to whitelist people. I think maybe after they did their initial whitelisting round. So what they did was on Twitter, if you had something creative you did, like make an animation or did art or whatever, at least not tattoo like the project on your ass or something. And if they would retweet you, then you were eligible for a whitelist. And
Okay.
they also did like a raffle underneath previous random character collective owners for like mood rollers and those types of projects.
Okay.
So it's better than most projects I've seen, at least to their to their favor at least.
Yeah,
But yeah,
I'll be interested to see when the reveal is. That's one thing that kind of drives me crazy about these really hyped projects. It was one thing that was frustrating about Hape and Metaverse was they had these crazy high prices pre-reveal because people were
yeah,
willing to spend 8 to 10 ETH to see if they got a rare one,
yeah,
and they were pulling in all of this money on royalties, and they kept pushing it back and pushing it back. And to me, that is a very just money hungry cash grab approach because they knew that the floor was going to dip after the
yeah,
reveal. And I'm really hoping that Invisible Friends doesn't do that because they've been teasing these things since November. Like they've been working on this for quite a while, like long before that even. So I really hope that they make this a pretty quick reveal because to me that seems more like, okay, they're in it for the community, for the art, and not just to grab as much money as they can before a potential floor dip. So,
yeah.
we saw it with the hype bears, and I'm not comparing Invisible Friends to hype bears by any means, but I also hope that they didn't show the best ones on Twitter. Of the
Yeah,
5,000,
yeah,
I hope that like the 100 or so they showed on Twitter weren't the best ones, and the rest of them kind of suck. Like I don't think that's the
exactly.
case, but that is one of the risks that you run if you're paying, you know, 10 to maybe even 20 ETH before the reveal even happens. So interesting to see what goes down tomorrow when they reveal what the price is going to be and how much that auction is going to go for. That's
I wonder. It's going to be exciting, that's for sure.
yeah, the gold one of one looks pretty cool. So I could see that being, fetching a pretty penny right there. Now, another project that is releasing on Tuesday, which is the day we're recording this, is the Doggies, Snoop Dogg's 10K PFP project through Sandbox game. So Sandbox game, another metaverse that we discussed. They have play to earn mechanics involved, and so Snoop has put out his project through them, and there are different types. There's humans, there's dogs, there's robots, there's golden ones, and Snoop's also going to have quite a few events through the Sandbox, some metaverse concerts, things like that, where holders, he has a pass out as well that allows you access to
Hmm.
these things and to mint the doggies. So I think it's cool that Snoop is at the forefront of some of these things and kind of leading the charge. So I'm interested once again to see how this plays out. I'm assuming that it's going to sell out fairly quickly, and we'll be in the metaverse at a Snoop Dogg concert before we know it.
Yeah, because I think those passes, I think they did pretty poorly in the past. So I wonder, because I think he had those passes they were selling for like, well, they had the mint was like 2 ETH or something,
Uh-huh.
or some like crazy price, and they didn't even. I don't think they were even close to selling out. So, I wonder how that's doing right now. I haven't really kept up to date with all that stuff. So yeah, I
Yeah,
wonder.
there's two different levels of one, and I believe the higher of the two is only going for about 1.4 right now.
Oh,
So
well,
if
there
you
you go.
believe that Snoop's going to make it work long term, there's an opportunity because you'll be able to stake with the pass and get different staking rates for your NFTs there. So the doggies minting today. We have a few more minting this week. Let's
Yeah,
break those down, Dan. The Wonder Pals and then the Mavia game.
yeah. So Mavia game or Mavia game, I'm not too sure how it's pronounced. It's minting on the 25th, and they just finished. I think it was either a $2.5 million dollar seeding round or a $5 million seeding round, um, led by Crypto.com. So we definitely talk about some serious people here, and they're trying to become like a Clash of Clans pay to earn. If you've ever heard of it, was a huge game back in the day. It still is pretty big. Made by Supercell Games, I believe.
Okay.
Um, so they're definitely trying to like enter that market and make it into like a really like forefront play to earn, and that's something I'm looking forward to as well. And then there's Wonder Pals on the 26th, and that's shaping up to becoming a pretty good drop. So pretty hyped up. Have some insane partnerships, like insane like collaborations with other projects, like every project under the moon, essentially. And that's one I'm looking forward to the most myself.
And also today, adding on to that, we have Star Catchers. So as we said,
Oh yeah,
there's a
cool.
ton of projects minting today. Star
Yeah,
Catchers
so
is
many.
launching as well for 0.111 ETH. which is the same price
Jeez.
as dented fields are going to be tomorrow. So we have some interesting stuff coming out. We have a lot of projects, and how do you think that this is going to affect the broader market? Are we going to see people selling out of other speculative projects to move into these new launches? Do you think we're going to see a big dip come this weekend? Going along with the crypto, it seems, it's been weird because we normally see NFTs go up when crypto goes down, but that's also never happened at the same time as a world war starting. So this is definitely this is a new territory for all of us.
Yeah, definitely,
So
definitely.
what's your prediction for the next few days, Dan?
Yeah, I think you always have people like me who are a little bit overinvested in NFTs. There are, if they have to mean something, they have to like sell something. I've been better these days by keeping like money like Ethereum like in my wallet and like not actually spending it on everything I see. So yeah, I
That's
think
good.
we'll definitely see some like some money leaving some projects and then some money entering other projects. But like always, I think the more speculative projects will always take a bigger hit, like you said, just because it's entirely speculative of nature, and I think we'll see more and more projects pop up out of nowhere and do well. And I think right now this week especially, just like a week where for some reason just like the hyped up projects of like the month just kind of collide in this exact week. So I wonder how that happened, but stars aligned. There's a world war looming, and crypto's down, NFTs are down, but we're still here kicking it and
Vibes are
being
high,
optimistic, I suppose. Yeah,
and if
definitely.
Dan needs to escape the Netherlands, he can always come over here and come stay at my house. We'll
I love it. I
we'll hang
love
out
it.
here in the U.S. So I think that about wraps up all the projects minting this week. Dan, any final words before we head out for the day?
Yeah, I don't think so. If you're in any of the troubled countries, please be safe. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
Other than that, if you're new to NFTs, don't be like shocked or upset about like stuff going down. Just part of the industry. Don't be too fixated on the floor price and just put money in what you believe in.
Yes, sir. We have a few videos previously about that, looking at our tips for beginners, our red flags when analyzing projects. So I think that's going to do it for today. For Dan, for the whole team at FLOLiO, I am Jeremy. Once again, like, subscribe, share, follow us on Twitter, and I hope all of your mints this week may be bountiful. Take care, everybody. Bye bye.
All right, bye bye.